Paul, this is your first film as a director and writer. Now, what have you learned from the other directors that you've worked with as prosthetics and special makeup artists on their sets?
Prep. Just do your homework, do your prep, think about every little detail, everything that can go wrong, everything that will go wrong, how to adapt, and yeah, it's more about preparation and vision. That's the two things I always feel that are overlooked, preparation and vision.
Now, you guys have worked together, of course, before, but as Paul as being a prosthetic artist at the time, what's it like working with him as a director, Sean?
Very similar in many respects, because Paul gets allocated very little time to achieve his wizardry, and that's why I felt completely confident working with Paul on this project, which is it's an extremely difficult subject, because I knew he gets given allocated very little time. I've worked with him when I've been bowed and arrowed up against a wall, and he's been given 15 minutes to get it right. So under that kind of pressure, and like he just said about the sort of the prep, and the fact, of course, we had a lock-solid base of a script, which was quite brilliant anyway. So I wasn't concerned about that, and Paul took to it as a duck to water. And what I really admired about Paul is that he let the heads of department, people that normally that directors try to orchestrate, he let them and trusted them enough to do their job. So it became very much a creative process, very much a company feel.
Now, it's a film that's very claustrophobic, isn't it? And I know it kind of made me think, in that sense, a film that you worked on before with Neil Marshall, The Descent. Was that something that influenced you at all when you were making The Seasoning House?
It's a different kind of story, but it has got the same themes: claustrophobia, tension, and a thrill ride. So in that respect, they're quite similar in that respect, but not in the subject matter.
Now, Paul has had to kill you a lot of times on camera before, hasn't he? Which has been the best time for you?
I think being strapped on a forklift truck over a bloody gas burner and being actually roasted like a suckling pig and pulled apart, face blistering, or eaten by Alsatians with loads of arrows. This is a personal favourite of mine. Thanks, Paul.
That's okay.
Great working with you.
And which one have you enjoyed inflicting on him the most, Paul?
Sorry?
Which have you enjoyed inflicting on Sean the most?
I actually like ripping his face off with a fake dog, because it was like a puppet. It's just like ripping his face off, and it was a very cold and rainy day, strapped to a tree. Yeah.
You guys have worked individually and together in loads of British horror films. What do you think of the state of British horror, and what's different about British horror compared to horror from other countries?
I mean, a lot of British horror films are made all a little bit too low budget. It's one of those things where it'd be nice if a little bit more money was spent, longer schedules, you make better films. Woman in Black was a good example. Yeah. They put the money in, they gave the schedule, they gave the facilities and resources to make it what it was, and it went on to make over 100 million. And too many horror films are just made micro budget. They're not given the budgets, and it's a shame.
People are looking at returns more than the product itself, and I think this is where this is slightly different. It's not just using it as a genre, as a stepping stone to actually make something that can earn a buck, but that's why we need investment, and that's exactly right what Paul said. I agree with 100%.
Do you feel like the young girl, Rosie J, who's the star, the lead actress in this film, do you think she's a real discovery and that she'll go on big time from here?
And I discovered her. After looking through 120 girls, I found her. She's absolutely brilliant. She's going to go on to such big things.
What would she like to act with, Sean?
She's brilliant. I mean, she's nails. Have you seen the size of her? She's that big. And she was getting through a slot. Paul showed me, I couldn't believe it. I thought she was a contortionist. Through a slot like this. That's the thing, it's not like Die Hard, where they have these sort of cavernous, great big aluminium shafts where people scuttle about. She was going through gaps like this, and it's unbelievable what she put her body through. But not only that, I have to stress is how brilliant an actress she is. To be a prisoner within a prison is no mean feat. To be apparently unaffected by what's going on is an extraordinarily difficult feat, and she's brilliant. She's absolutely brilliant.
What's next for you guys now?
Season House is part one of a war-themed horror trilogy. But yes, I'm just trying to work out what I'm going to do next.
Now, the Black Site was something you had as a teaser trailer here last year, wasn't it? That was going to be the first one. That's part of it, isn't it?
Part two.
Was a trilogy always what you had in mind? Did it happen organically? How did it work out?
Well, basically, I was going to do Black Site first, but we needed quite a bit more money. It was over 2 million, so we thought we'd do Season House, which is slightly less. But hopefully, Black Site may be my next one.
I'm working on a TV series with Jean Reno at the moment, with the lady that directed the Killing and the Bridge. So I'm working with the great Mr. Reno, which is terrifying. He's just extraordinary working with the legends, so I really can't complain.
Are you a big fan of all those shows?
Yeah, very much so. I adore them. Sort of Nordic noir. I mean, actually, it's not dissimilar from what Paul is doing here. It's got the same feel and quality.
What do you think makes them stand out? Because obviously they've been so popular, they're really kind of having a moment with Scandinavian TV and film at the moment, aren't they?
Intention and style is what I would say. The intention, the attention to the script and the style that they're completely comfortable in, because then it encompasses the world and then you believe in it.
You did a lot of film initially in slow motion, didn't you? There's a lot of Steadicam work as well, and then it changes. How was that as shooting that as a first-time director, Paul? And how is it as an actor as well, Sean, working a lot with Steadicam?
Basically, the slow-mo, the Steadicam, was to really get a feel of a dreamy, hypnotic kind of perspective of Rosie. So, yeah, for me, it's great. I loved it.
How about you, Sean?
We were working with this fantastic guy, Adam, who is our DP and operator, who's got shoulders of Hercules. I mean, it wasn't really even Steadicam, was it? I mean, he's like a sort of a peewee. He's extraordinary. So the quality, having seen the film now, is different. And the style, you're absolutely right. When the real world arrives in the shape of me, there is a marked difference between the opium world of Rosie Day, of Angel, and when Goran arrives, there's a marked difference. But it didn't affect the way that we approached the work at all. You were very unaware of them. All the crew were extraordinary. They worked at such speed, it was breathtaking. And the effect, I think, is extraordinary. And I'm very, 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 very proud.